Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Mossor. That is one of my best friends, David Kahoun, and you are locked into another episode of the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. Tonight is Season 3, Episode 1, David. Episode 31 overall.
Episode 1.
Let's go. Back to the beginning.
Go.
And it feels incredible to be back. To be honest, a month, maybe a month and a couple weeks away from the mics from this show. A month to recharge and let the NFL breathe a little bit. And now we're returning right as training camp opens. Right as the pads start popping, and right as every beat reporter is posting clips that send every fantasy manager into a full blown overreaction mode. I would say this is the perfect moment to jump back in on the couch. Because fantasy football stops being a theory and starts becoming real right about now, right when training camp starts. And tonight we're diving straight into one of my favorite types of episodes, the kind that forces you to take a stand, plant a flag, and put your name behind players that you believe in or don't necessarily believe in as much as consensus does. Tonight we are calling our shots. Who will be the best performers in 2026 NFL fantasy season and who will not? This is where the fun begins, David. This is where, the arguments start. Disagreement. We don't really argue. Disagreements start.
Not yet,
and you find out who you trust, who you doubt, and who you're willing to bet your season on. We're talking through the players who are ready to take over their position, the guys who could finish as the QB1, running back 1, wide receiver 1, tight end 1, and the players who might fall short of expectations, whether it's due to coaching changes, usage concerns, or simply the reality that hype doesn't always, equal production. Some players are about to explode, some are about to disappoint, and tonight we're calling every single shot. So settle in, get comfortable, grab whatever you're drinking tonight, and let's, call our shots on the Commissioner's Couch.
Let's go. I'm excited, man. This has been fun, and I think we've both enjoyed the break a little bit from it all because It was the dog days of summer, as they say in the football world, and now the training camps here, preseason games start tonight, so that's exciting. So we're going to get to see some of these deeper prospects that are playing, so that's exciting. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. This should be a really fun episode. But yeah, if you've not been following us, please go ahead and give us a follow on all of our socials. We love doing this. We love talking fantasy football. We love giving you all just an inside scoop to what we're thinking, what current trends are happening in the fantasy world. And yeah, just really trying to give you an edge up. So please follow us on all socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on YouTube. Go ahead and turn on subscribe on YouTube, get the notifications on. You don't want to miss anything that we've got coming up because we're going to hit the ground running here in season 3. It's going to be a lot more in depth and a lot more just focused on what you want and what you need to win your leagues. So give us a follow. We're also available where you get podcasts too. So Apple Podcast, Spotify, Boom Player, Podbean, just follow us, give us a little review. It helps us get seen a little bit more. But yeah, give us some love on all the socials.
Yeah, sorry, I was choking on my coffee there. So love that. We are also brought to you by Mossor Moments Photography. We are a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland who specialize in providing the best wedding photos in Northeast Ohio. Check out our website at mossormomentsphotography.com. That's MOSSOR momentsphotography.com.
How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm good, man. Good. Just started another small business this past month. I've been busy and
there you go.
And making a little bit of money, so that's nice. So hopefully that continues on top of my other business and raising my kids, man. So it's been great. How about you, brother? So
I'm good.
Remodeling your whole house, it sounds like.
Yeah, we have been. Yeah, so over the last month, maybe a little bit more, we've been doing a lot of remodeling here. So we got new floors everywhere in the whole house in our condo. We redid our kitchen. We got new molding, new doors. Redid our bathroom. So yeah, it's been a lot of work. And thankfully my parents have been super helpful in helping us find some deals on cabinets and stuff. And so, yeah, I appreciate them very much. They've been a huge help. So yeah, it's been a busy couple months.
Did you guys go to that giant warehouse that they talk about all the time?
We almost did. And then we found a deal from somewhere else down in Cleveland. And so we went with that route.
Closer. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go to that warehouse with your parents. I'm friends with David's parents and his siblings as well. I love all of them. So I hang out with his parents sometimes without him. So it is what it is.
Dude, if you ever want to go, let me know. I'll get us.
If I am ever in the need for a cabinet, possibly. So
yeah, they literally are like $100 a piece, so like dirt cheap.
Nice.
So
there you go.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah, man, but doing good. All right, you want to break down what we done? Well, we did season 2. You want to break down what we did for season 2?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, as Moss said, we are on to season 3. If you've missed season 2, all of it's on podcast form, on a video form on YouTube. We've
Go to
gone
Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, go check out our
all of
whole
those.
season, man.
Yes, please. It'll give you a good inside scoop to what we do, how we kind of see all of these players, but then also kind of what to watch this year, especially if you're a dynasty player, what to watch this year for rookies and young prospects. It'll be really helpful. So we started a little bit before the draft. We kind of broke down all the different positions.
A little bit. It was like 10 weeks before the draft, bro.
And not a little. That was a lot.
2.5 months before the draft.
So, yeah, we broke down a bunch of different prospects. We've spent a couple episodes, 3 episodes on quarterbacks.
Yeah, 18 quarterbacks overall, 18 running backs. Yeah.
Yep. 3 episodes on wide receivers and 1 episode on the tight ends because this tight end class was a little bit weaker. Sure. And yeah, we were live for the draft itself. We had nearly 1,000 live viewers, which was awesome. And so definitely I think something we're going to continue to do every year.
Yes.
Just because the demand was there. And then after that, we broke down the draft, the landing spots, the coaching changes over the summer, the best free agency landing spaces for fantasy implications. We did some mock drafts in there as well. So if you're interested in a dynasty rookie mock draft, an auction draft for guillotine leagues, really not a best ball, but a redraft league, go follow those and find them. They're great listens, really worth gaining an inside edge as we're entering draft season right now. So yeah, go check them out.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into the part of the show that I've been itching to do since we sat back down on the couch. I've been all day. I've been prepping for this, so I'm really excited. This is where we stop dancing around the opinions and stop hiding behind the projection. And actually put our names on the line here. It's all for fun, of course. Whatever. Don't do this for daily fantasy betting or anything like that. We're idiots, but we're having fun. But nonetheless, we're calling our shots. Who we think will rise to the top of fantasy world in 2026, and who we think will not live up to the noise. I'm talking about the players who can take over their entire positions, the guys who have real path to finishing, those, like I said, the top quarterback, receiver, running back, or tight end, and the guys who we think will not live up to expectations. I'm really excited, Dave. Let's get into this.
Let's do it. It's time for Call Your Shots. So, Moss and me are each going to take one position group. We're going to talk about the top player that we think will perform from that group. And then we're also going to talk about one player that people are really high on that will probably be more of a bust this year, according to our expertise in years of following fantasy football. Sure. So we will start with the quarterback position, the most important position in football. Moss, you want to go first with who you think will be one of the top players for
not one of the top.
Oh, the top. He's saying
the position. No, that's what this is. Your guy is your top guy, David, so you better be ready.
I'm ready.
QB1 of the 2026 fantasy football season is going to be Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills.
Josh Allen.
When I look at the quarterback landscape for 2026, the guy I keep coming back to, the guy who I kept honestly going back to, the one I trust more than anyone else is Josh Allen. I mean, the dude is a force. Every single year he gives you elite production, even when the offense around him is in flux. And now he finally has I think possibly a top target again in DJ Moore, who changes everything for this team. I think he gives Allen that reliable go win the rep receiver he hasn't had since Digg was at his peak. And if James Cooks keeps rolling the way that he did last season, defenses are going to have to respect the run game in a way that they haven't in Buffalo for years, other than the last year or two with him. That opens up the entire playbook. It gives Josh Allen cleaner looks, easier matchups, the more chances to do what he does best, which is take over games. I'm calling it right now. Josh Allen is going to be the QB1 in fantasy football this year. The talent, the weapons, the scheme, the volume, the running ability, it's all lining up for him to absolutely dominate. That is my QB1 prediction.
That's a good one. I feel like it's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah,
He's been QB1 for the last couple of years, but
okay?
I like it. No, hey, that's good. I like it. So I'm curious though, because me and somebody else that I'm in with a work fantasy football league have been debating about Josh Allen. He's of the mindset that Josh Allen's going to be fantasy relevant for the next decade plus. But at what point do you think his fantasy relevancy kind of starts to diminish a little bit?
1 second. In 10 years.
In 10 years, okay.
He's 30 years old as of May 21st. So when he turns 40, David, that's when he'll be.
Okay, interesting. I personally think
injuries, obviously.
Obviously, yes. But I personally think in like 3 to 5 years, he's probably going to be a little bit lower fantasy football wise. NFL wise, still be an elite quarterback. I think. Well, we're starting to see it a little bit with Lamar Jackson too. He's trying to transition from a runner to more of a passer, and his fantasy world has not necessarily lived up to the hype numbers that he used to have early in his career. We saw similar things from players in the past that had similar career trajectories. Colin Kaepernick was somebody who's very famous for having a good fantasy relevancy of the year for a couple years. I think Josh Allen has been much better fantasy-wise, but I do think in a couple years the wear and tear is just going to catch up to him, and his arm's not going to be able to carry him as far as his legs have been throughout the last couple of seasons for fantasy purposes specifically. So,
man, I wanted to argue that so bad, but I'll let you go.
All right. Well, my top quarterback that I've got this year for the fantasy football world is third-year quarterback Caleb Williams for the Chicago Bears.
QB1 of 2026
QB1. I think he will finish QB1. I think that second year in the system with that coach, Ben Johnson, who is just very, very smart, very schematic, very good at opening up. We saw late in the season the push that Caleb Williams made to become a very, very competent and competitive quarterback in the NFL. And down the playoff stretch, he was just lights out for fantasy. Right. So I think that he's going to continue on that trajectory. I'm curious to see who's going to emerge as some of the top weapons in the passing game specifically. You've got Rome Odunze, you've got Luther Burden, you've got Colston Loveland. But I do really think when it's all said and done, Caleb Williams will run a lot more and be a lot more efficient throwing the ball, and that will push him over into the top QB1 tier for the Chicago Bears and for the fantasy football world in the 2026 season. So, right. Caleb Williams, QB1, calling my shot.
I don't hate it, but I don't love it. So, okay. Yeah. All right. My biggest fade for the quarterback position for 2026, the QB letdown of the year, I would guess. You know, that consensus says he's probably going to be good. I don't think so. Quarterback, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens.
I knew it was going to be Lamar Jackson.
On the other side of this, you know, like I said, the quarterback I'm fading is and I'm really fading Lamar Jackson. You know, I watched him come back from that injury last season, and he just wasn't the same player, David. The explosiveness wasn't there. The confidence wasn't there. The willingness to take off and run, the one thing that made him absolutely special looked like it completely disappeared overnight, you know. And I get it, you know, he's had, you know, the time to recover. You know, the Ravens added weapons. They paid undeservedly paid, I think, Zay Flowers, that to made him the fourth highest paid receiver in the NFL. They brought in Elijah Surratt and Jacoby Lane. They drafted Vega Leon to help their awful offensive line get stabilized a little bit in the interior. All of that sounds great on paper, but none of that matters if Lamar doesn't trust his body anymore. To me, the issue isn't physical. It's absolutely mental with Lamar Jackson. He looks hesitant. He looked cautious. He looked like a guy who knows, you know, one wrong step could put him right back on the sideline. And if he's not running, he's not the same fantasy player. And that's the truth with Lamar Jackson. And you mentioned, I mean, I was going to rebuttal a little bit with Josh Allen. The one big, you know, difference between them is Lamar is 6'2", 205 pounds. Josh Allen 6'5", 237 pounds. There's a lot more weight and you know, durability.
Sure, yeah.
You know, with it. So that's why I think he'll last longer than somebody who like Lamar Jackson, who already has, you know, a birdcage chest and for, you know, almost a decade now has been so elusive to where he hasn't necessarily gotten that major hit or injury, and now he's sustained it. So we'll see. You know, but I'm out on Lamar Jackson until he proves otherwise, like completely out. I'm not, you know, paying for the name. I'm not paying for the past. You know, I'm not paying for the hope that he magically flips a switch. Until I see the old Lamar again, I am absolutely fading him hard. So that is my 2026 quarterback fade.
That's fair. It's hard for me to argue with that one, especially with the argument that I just made about Josh Allen. I do personally like Zay Flowers more than most.
I know you love him.
Agree with you. I think the weapons outside of Zay Flowers may be lacking. You've got an aging Mark Andrews out there, an aging Derrick Henry at running back. What is this Ravens team going to look like in a couple years? I'm not too sure. Hopefully some of these rookies that you mentioned, Surratt and Lane, can hit for the Ravens.
I like Jacoby.
Hopefully not.
So we'll see.
Yeah, he should be a good sleeper candidate too. I agree with that. But yeah, I'm with you. I think this year specifically, I will not be a buyer until I see it happening, essentially.
Yeah.
So I like that pick for a fade. My fade for this year is a second-year quarterback that everybody seems to be very, very high on, but I am very much out on him. And that would be quarterback Jackson Dart from the New York Football Giants. Somebody who I think people kind of fell in love with as the season progressed last year, showed a lot of promise. But I am personally not buying any stock of his because I think that while the weaponry around him is pretty good, actually, you've got a good wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. You've got OBJ coming back, which was crazy.
Ooh, the name OBJ is coming back.
Watch out. And you've got some good tight end play there potentially too, in Isaiah Likely, and a good new coach in John Harbaugh too. But I don't know if necessarily the coach is going to be as patient and believe in much in Jackson Dart as much as the last regime did. And I don't know if he's going to develop and make strides to really push up into the category that he's being drafted at right now. He's going, like mid-rounds, like 6 or 7 right now, and I feel like that's way too rich for me. I would rather take a sleeper chance on him. But right now, I'm just not buying really any of his stock because he's just so elevated because of the hype that he's getting that I don't think is necessarily very deserved. So I am fading on Jackson Dart for this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I like his rushing ability. I like that they added a guy like Malachi Fields, Isaiah Likely. I think Harbaugh is definitely the right coach and can help him. He managed Lamar and his running capabilities for a long time, and if he can, teach. I think the main thing for Jackson Dart is him learning to slide, because he can't have Dart and Scadaboo out there taking major head hits every single time. So I think the run game with Scadaboo and Tyron Tracy, Scadaboo's doing backflips and looking like he's buckling his knee. I don't know. But nonetheless, I think he's talented. I do like the quarterback. I think he might be elevated a little bit, but I can see the justification. We'll just see what happens this year. I'm not super high on the team, but I mean, if Malik Neighbors is back to health, Cam Scadaboo comes back to where he could be, the Bash Bros again with, Dude, Noggin, him and Jackson Dart, it could be a fun year, so I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see it really. I think there were flashes last year, sure. But if there's like a second-year quarterback that I'm probably going to take more of a chance on, it's probably Tyler Shuck, who's just being drafted much later and has much better value in drafts, I personally think.
And has really good weapons.
Yeah, and has really good weapons and a good defense too. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just very skeptical on him this year. I think overall I was a fan of him coming out from the draft, and we've talked about him before. I really at one point wanted the Browns to get him, but yeah, for this year, fantasy-wise, I know. But this point for fantasy for this year, I'm just avoiding him at all costs because I think it's just too valuable of a draft pick to take him.
All right. David's
all right, shall we switch over to the running backs?
Let's do it, buddy.
All right, we are going to jump into our running backs. Moss, you want to go first again? You want me to?
Go ahead, bud.
All right, so for this one, I have a very sneaky pick for the top running back one.
All right.
Are you ready for it?
Let's do it, man.
Ashton Genty, running back of the Raiders. Here we go. Not only is this like a homer pick for me because in our Dynasty League I have Ashton Genty, but I do think they beefed up that offensive line. They've got some good coaching coming in. They finally have a stable enough quarterback in Kirk Cousins / Fernando Mendoza to kind of steer the ship to start the season. And I think he's going to be the main focal point of this offense moving forward, him and Brock Bowers. And so I think he's shown that he's dynamic enough in the run game in college, showed some flashes last year of being really good in the passing game. And so I think that he's going to be somebody who can kind of elevate himself and push into that running back one category. And so I'm a huge believer in Ashton Genty this year and buying a lot of stock in him. So there you
go. I like it.
No, you don't.
I hate it. I hate it so much. All right. Well, I mean, I guess I'm trending here again. All right, my running back one calling my shot for the 2026 fantasy season is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr. When I look at the running back landscape in 2026, I'm planting my flag on this dude. I think he's got the clearest path probably to finishing as a running back one. I've been high on him since the moment he stepped into the league. And everything about this season, lines up perfectly for him to finally take over fantasy football. Finally, first off, the talent is absolutely undeniable. Gibbs is one of those players, where every touch feels dangerous. And he's explosive. He's efficient. He's a nightmare in space, and he's one of the few backs in the league who can beat you as a runner and as a receiver, which is crazy important for fantasy football. But the real reason I'm calling him my running back one this year is opportunity. Detroit finally stopped splitting the backfield. David Montgomery is gone. He's the starter in Houston now, and that means Gibbs is going to get the kind of workload that we've all been waiting for. Last year, even with Montgomery eating into the snaps, Gibbs still produced like a top-tier fantasy back, top 5. Now he gets the backfield to himself in an offense that moves the ball, scores points, and leans on him in every situation. I mean, people will argue Bijan has the edge, and I love Bijan, of course, but I don't trust Kevin Stefanski to maximize him the way Detroit is going to maximize Gibbs. The scheme, the uses, the role, it all favors Gibbs in my opinion. So I'm calling it right now. Jahmyr Gibbs isn't just the RB1. I think he's got a real shot to be the top non-quarterback in all of fantasy football this season. So
wow. That's a big ceiling. We'll see if it happens. I like both of them too, like Gibbs and Bijan. Yeah, I like them both too. Sure. I'm curious to see because I feel like Detroit, while there's so much expectations that they should be good and that Jahmyr Gibbs is just going to dominate, it just almost feels like it's overhyped now and over like playing the point of like he's going to be running back one, that he's just going to be running back 3 and disappoint people, And so I like him a lot. I'm still targeting him in drafts if I can. But I don't know if he will live up to the hype. The opportunity is definitely there this year. But will it actually happen? I'm not too sure.
Yes,
I hope so. We'll see. So, yeah. Let's talk about the running back that I am fading this year. I'm curious. We might actually agree on this one, so we'll see what happens. But that would be running back Omarion Hampton from the Los Angeles Chargers.
I do not agree at all.
Okay,
at
cool.
all.
Oh, yeah. I am very firmly out on him. I don't think I really saw a lot of efficiency from him last year.
He was hurt the whole season.
Yes, he was hurt, but even when he played, there was really not a lot of spark and juice that came from him. And I think that this offense really just runs truly through Justin Herbert. They're not going to focus on running the ball. They're going to focus on throwing it a lot. They're going to focus on getting Herbert creative plays to make big plays. They've added some weapons in the passing game. Trey Harris looks to be making a step at wide receiver. They brought in David Njoku at tight end. And they brought in another running back in Keaton Mitchell to kind of help spill a lot of this and probably be more of a split carry backfield than it really will be a true bell cow back. And so I'm really not a believer in Omarion Hampton. I liked him a lot coming out of North Carolina. Really thought he had a pretty good landing spot going to LA this first year. And then after watching him last year, I think I'm just out. So fading him, not targeting him. I think the second round is still too high for him. I would maybe take a chance in the 4th or 5th round, but second round is too high. So.
Oh my gosh. I'm debating whether or not to continue the show with you, David. No. What? No. I mean,
I said it. There's my hot take for the night.
No way. Keaton Mitchell is nothing compared to Omarion Hampton. Keaton Mitchell is, if anything, a flash of lightning compared to the thunder of Omarion Hampton, but they're not going to be 50-50. Whatever. All right. My biggest fade at running back for the 2026 fantasy football season is Ashton Jeanty, Las Vegas Raiders.
I knew you were going to say it.
I never fully bought into the hype when he came out of college. He always reminded me of a boomer bust guy like Rashad Penny, than a true every down superstar. And last year, his rookie season, like you said, you saw flashes, but you also saw a lot of inconsistency. And honestly, it's not even all his fault, obviously. The situation around him, is rough. The Raiders still don't have a real identity on their offense. Their wide receiver room, I think, is the absolute worst in the NFL. Jalen Naylor is the wide receiver 1. That's insane. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close. Brock Bowers is incredible, of course, but you can't build an entire passing game around one guy and hope that defenses don't figure it out. Then you look at the offensive line; it was a disaster last year. They tried to patch it with by overpaying Tyler Lindenbaum, and he's a good player, but one lineman doesn't fix a unit that was getting blown off the ball every single week. And when you combine that with either a worn down Kirk Cousins at best, or to be frankly, an overdrafted Fernando Mendoza under center, defenses are going to load the box and dare Vegas to beat them through the air. That's a nightmare for young running backs. Genty is talented, I would say, but he's stuck in a situation that's going to make everything harder. Fewer clean lanes for him, fewer scoring chances, fewer drives that actually sustain. I don't see a clear path to him living up to the expectations people are putting on him. And I don't think he'll maybe ever live up to those expectations personally. I'm fading Ashton Genty this year, at least until the Raiders prove they can support a running back at a high level, if he can ever reach that. So,
Interesting.
So funny.
I agree to disagree on that one, but
with logic, sorry. Just kidding.
We'll see what happens.
Stupid. All right, let's get to wide receivers, brother.
Let's do it. Wide receivers. I will let you go first. We are going to do our top player, number one wide receiver, and the person that we're fading. So go for it.
Yeah, I mean, trend. I'm just going, I guess, every single top player consensus. Jamar Chase, Cincinnati Bengals, is my. There could have been a couple options here. There could have been Puka Nacua. There could have been JSN. There could have been Justin Jefferson. Amon-Ra St. Brown potentially as well. But when I look at the wide receiver position this year, the guy I'm betting on and the guy I think who has the clearest path to finishing as a wide receiver one is Jamar Chase. And honestly, as long as Joe Burrow is upright and Joe Flacco is sitting there as the emergency parachute, Jamar Chase is going to torch fantasy football again. There's not a lot of mystery here, I'd say. Chase is one of those players where you don't need to overthink it at all. He's a flat-out superstar. He wins at every level on the field. He commands, ridiculous target volume. And when Burrow is healthy, their connection is one of the most automatic things in the entire league. You can't teach that timing, and you can't replicate that chemistry. That's something that has been along, even that predates the NFL, and the Bengals are going to throw the ball. They always throw the ball. Even when Burrow was banged up last year, Chase still produced like a top-tier fantasy receiver with Joe Flacco. They had to trade for Joe Flacco for that to happen. But now you give him a full season with a healthy quarterback, a stable offensive system. Their defense sucks, so we'll see how tired they get by the end of the game. But a team who I think exactly knows who their engine is, and it's not hard seeing him as the top fantasy wide receiver. So Jamar Chase, wide receiver 1 in 2026 for fantasy football. That's my shot.
No, it's a great pick. I almost went that route, so I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think he's been somebody who's been at the top literally every year for the last 4 or 5 years. And so yeah, can he continue that streak and finish in the top 3, top 1 again? We will see. But I have a sneaky pick for the wide receiver one this year. And that would be
Chase Claypool.
No, not Chase Claypool. That would be wide receiver A.J. Brown of the New England Patriots.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Somebody who I just also traded for in my Dynasty League, but I think who will just demand a lot of targets. You talk about Jamar Chase, how he's going to be the wide receiver one, and just somebody who has great chemistry with Joe Burrow. I think A.J. Brown's going to really focus on building that chemistry this year with somebody like Drake May and being that kind of safety net for that young quarterback still growing. A.J. Brown is somebody who's big, can get open, can make good contested catches, and honestly catch a lot of touchdowns. And so I think that's going to push him over. He's going to finally have demand and volume this year, something that he hasn't had the last few years in Philly while still finishing as a top 20 wide receiver. And so I think that this could really push him over the edge to become one of the top, if not the top, wide receiver in the fantasy football world. So A.J. Brown, 2026, wide receiver 1.
I don't hate it. I actually kind of like it, David.
Thank you.
Good pick. Good pick. I don't know if it'll happen, but for sneaky guys, like that's a good sneaky guy, brother.
Thank you. I like it. I think there's a lot of opportunity. That's what I'm just most excited for. So
yeah, I mean, and the undeniable friendship of him and Mike Vrabel as well, which made him go to want to go to New England in the first place. I think. Yeah,
and the desperate need that they had for a wide receiver one too. Like they've got nobody else behind him. So
yeah, good pick, man.
Thank you. All right, you want to do the person you're fading, or you want me to go first?
Go ahead, bud.
All right, so the wide receiver that I am fading, I've kind of been negative towards him in the years past. This year, I'm just very much out on him, and that would be wide receiver Rashee Rice for the Kansas City Chiefs. Somebody who Moss likes a lot, really targeted him a lot in the last couple of years. But this year specifically, I just think that there's just a lot to not like. He does not seem to really be separating himself as a wide receiver. We've seen some training camp videos of him just kind of losing focus and dropping the ball a little bit. Will he have any chemistry with Justin Fields if Justin Fields starts this season as QB1 for the Chiefs? I'm not too sure. I don't think that he's going to demand a lot of the same amount of targets that he did in the years past. And I think that he's kind of regressing a little bit talent-wise. And so I'm kind of out on Rashee Rice. I will stake my flag on this. I am fading him and not targeting him at all. So,
I wholeheartedly disagree. Don't listen to David, guys.
Okay. All
right. Well, you want to hear my crazy fade for wide receiver?
Sure, let's hear it.
Puka Nacua, Los Angeles Rams.
Interesting. The wide receiver 2 from last year.
Yeah. I mean, what he did last year was insane. Let's be honest.
Insane.
He missed time and still almost finished as a wide receiver 1. On the field, the guy is a monster, but everything around him right now feels so shaky. He's dealing with some weird off-field stuff, getting himself into situations that make you raise your eyebrows. He's biting women. I mean,
weird.
Rumors today is that he was at a party at a CEO's house. I forget the company, Fansided or one of those big companies. Apparently, he walked through a glass door and hurt his groin. The specific injury is a PSOAS, puss ass muscle soreness. Apparently, he's a puss ass. I don't know. So I don't know. Sorry. He's just. I mean. There's a lot of uncertainty for a player you have to draft in the first round. The thing is, I don't want uncertainty with my top wide receiver. I'm in the Scott Fishbowl Fantasy Cares charity fantasy football leagues with a bunch of different analysts and stuff. And I mean, in the live draft I was at, there's probably out of the 15 drafts going on, Puka Nacua went first overall in 6 or 7 of them, which is insane. Wow. Not me, man. I don't know. I don't want the drama. I don't want to wonder if he's going to miss time because of something that has nothing to do with football. There's still speculation that he could get suspended by the NFL because of the biting situation. I don't want to rely on a guy whose floor feels like he's sitting on a trap door. I'm not denying the talent. I'm not denying the production that he had last year and what he's had in his career so far. But fantasy football is about availability and just as much as ability. And right now, Puka feels like a gamble that I don't want to take. I'm not drafting that puss ass. So.
No, I get it, and it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I necessarily think he will finish where he's getting drafted.
Sure,
but I still like the player a lot. And
of course, yeah. I mean, he's a beast.
If we're just doing redraft leagues, I would agree with you. I'd void him. And
Dynasty's a little different. Sure,
Dynasty is very different. Yes, but. I agree. It's hard for me to argue with that. And I think we're going to have a category moving forward called the Puss Ass League or Puss Ass Player, maybe?
We just get pronounced this groin muscle, the PSOAS. I think it's pronounced Puss Ass. So I don't know. Okay. I didn't study anatomy. So
me neither. All right. Well, shall we move on then to the tight ends?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, we are going to break down our top and our fading tight end for the upcoming fantasy football year. So I'll go first if you want.
Go.
My top tight end this year is going to be somebody that's paired with my top quarterback from this year, and that's going to be Colston Loveland of the Chicago Bears. Somebody who I think is going to emerge as a huge weapon, especially in the red zone for somebody like Caleb Williams, somebody who has really elevated and proven that he can be relied in the passing game. He's going to be the every down type of tight end. He's going to really just, I think, become a really, really valuable weapon in that passing game. Luther Burden's already dealing with injuries. Rome Odunze has really not elevated himself to that wide receiver one status yet. And so I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for somebody like Colston Loveland to step in and really establish and carve out a huge role in the passing game for him. And so initially I wanted to go Brock Bowers here, but I was like, I'm going to change it up and go with somebody else who's kind of a dark horse candidate, and that would be Colston Loveland.
All right. My tight end one for the 2026 fantasy season, call my shot, is going to be Trey McBride, Arizona Cardinals tight end.
You're Pookie.
He's one of my Pookies. Yes. I don't care what changes Arizona made. I don't care who they drafted. I don't care what the new coaching staff wants to install. McBride is still the best option in that offense. I understand they have Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Jeremiah Love they just drafted, third overall.
And Tyler Algier as well.
That guy sucks. Who cares? Trey McBride is the engine. He's the safety valve. He's the guy that Jacoby Brissett or maybe Carson Beck, who is my QB2 in the draft. Maybe you guys should listen to me. I don't know. It's one preseason game, but trust more than anyone else on the roster. Like I said, even with Marvin Harrison Jr. Stepping in to a bigger role, and hopefully, and Jeremiah Love bringing the juice in the backfield, McBride is still going to be the centerpiece. He's too good, too reliable, and too involved to fall out of the top spot, I think. Every time Arizona needs to play, they look his way. Every time there's, in a tight situation, he's the one who gets them out of it. And when you combine that, that kind of volume with his talent, the yards after the catch, the toughness, the consistency, it's hard not to see him finishing as the tight end one again. That's why I have him as my tight end one.
Yeah, I see it and I agree. The opportunity is there. He's really the only reliable piece from that offense right now as we enter the preseason that you can rely on for drafts. And so I agree. There's definitely a viable path for him to finish as the tight end one. So
yeah.
Let's do the players we are fading. I'm going to talk about a tight end who I feel like had a lot of hype the last couple of years. People started to fade on him, and now I'm just completely out on him overall, and that would be Dalton Kincaid of the Buffalo Bills. Somebody who has a lot of talent, in all honesty. He
sucks.
Okay, well, I think he's still talented. But I think we've learned from the years past, in the passing game, these tight ends really are just not very reliable, very just hit or miss. And then you throw into the mix that Dawson Knox is still somewhat involved in the passing game and taking opportunity away from Dalton Kincaid. So I'm just out on him overall. They brought in DJ Moore. He's going to really establish that whole wide receiving room and be very dominant. I like him a lot. Draft him if you can. But Dalton Kincaid, I'm fading on. I would rather pick some later round tight ends like a David Njoku or Isaiah Likely over a Dalton Kincaid. And so I'm out. I will pass.
Okay. All right. I agree with that. I think he's let me down too many times. Screw that guy.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah, fool me again, and won't fool me again. Whatever George
W. Bush says. 3.
All right, tight end let down the 2026 season for me is Colston Loveland, Chicago Bears.
Interesting.
As you can tell, David and I do not talk about these beforehand. We like doing the surprise. David and I have different minds, and we like to give you different perspectives, and that's interesting that I chose him as a fade. You chose him as you're calling your shot. We've done that twice now, so
I have.
I think he's really talented. He's a good player, but the situation around him, I think, is a mess for fantasy and not what David said.
Interesting.
Chicago's offense, I think, is absolutely loaded. Rome Odunze, is a first-round receiver who is finally looking to step into his role. Yes, Luther Burden is a little banged up, but people are drafting him very early.
Way too early.
High expectations. I don't know about way too early, but early, yes. I have expectations for him. Even guys like DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai, they have a good team. A ton of mouths to feed, and then they want went out and added even more competition, like Sam Roush, tight end out of Stanford in the 3rd round. Xavier Thomas, the wide receiver at LSU in the 4th round. Guys who are just going to congest and want to get the ball and fight for touches. I think the biggest issue with Colston Loveland is what Loveland did at the end of season last year. It was incredible, but it is absolutely not sustainable. It's not. You're not repeating 10 catches, 13 catches, 10 catches, and 15 catches in the last 4 games. That's not sustainable for a tight end. It's not going to happen again. Not in this offense. Not with, I think, with this much of talent around him. Not with the way Caleb Williams likes to spread the ball around. Loveland is going to have good games. Yes, of course. He's a talented tight end. He's going to have moments where he looks like a future star. He's a good tight end. But the idea of him, that he's going to, go live up to a top 3 tight end price, the top tight end price, as David said, I don't see it. There's too much competition, too much volatility in that room, and too many ways for his weekly volume to get squeezed. I'm fading him at cost. I think great player. I think a tough situation. So.
I'm a huge fan of Colston Loveland, so I will put my flag and say that he is going to finish as a tight end.
I would love to come back and revisit this at the end of the season.
Absolutely. We definitely should, yeah.
Yeah, how wrong we both are, so.
Yeah.
All right, social media call to action, brother.
All right, well, hey, if you've been enjoying the show, there's 44 of you watching live. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate all your support and love. Go ahead and leave some comments. Let us know who were some of your favorite picks that we have this year, who you agree with, who you don't agree with. But yeah, go ahead and follow us on all the socials. We're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, Instagram, Threads, I think, wherever you are, we're trying to be. So go ahead and subscribe to us, turn on our notifications. You're not going to want to miss anything we've got coming up for this upcoming fantasy football season. It's going to be a blast. And you can also follow us where you get your podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, really wherever. Turn on the automatic downloads. Help us out. Share us if you can. We are wanting to help everybody win their fantasy leagues. So please go ahead and subscribe and follow us.
I mean, honestly, please do it. Please subscribe. I mean, we are tip of the iceberg here for season 3. But go check out season 2. Honestly, do us a favor. Just to play our podcast, throw it on 3x speed and mute your phone for an hour. That would just help us so much just to get things rolling, man. We left off on a really good note, and we want to pick up where we left off and just continue just to strive to get better and better and better. And we can't do that without your help. And we're grateful for our viewers. Like you said, we got about 50 viewers right now. By the end of the week, we'll have over 500. So not a lot of people know that we're going live again, and it's going to be great. So please do us a favor. Go on wherever Spotify, Apple. Follow us on our social media. Please, we greatly, greatly appreciate it. So
please.
Also, before we move on, I want to take a moment to thank our show sponsor, Mossor Moments Photography, which, if you don't already know, is the business that my wife and I run together. My wife, Hallie. Mossor Moments Photography is our husband and wife wedding photography team based here in Cleveland. For the past 10 years, Hallie and I have had the privilege of photographing more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond. Every single one of those weddings was shot together, just the two of us working side by side, capturing the day as a true team. What we care about most is telling this real story of a wedding day, the genuine moments, the emotion, the little interactions that actually matter years later. We want couples to feel comfortable, natural, and completely themselves in front of the camera, and we approach every wedding with that mindset. No stiff posing, no forced smiles, just honest, meaningful images that mean that feel true to who you are and mean the world. Cleveland is home, but inspired by our travels, and the couples we met. And I'm done reading this. Please go to MossorMomentsPhotography.com. That's
check them out. They're great. They did my wedding. So
Photography.com. We did his wedding. We've done a lot of weddings. We're probably closer to 200 now. Wow. This year we've already done like 30 weddings. We have one tomorrow on a Friday. So busy, but very blessed. So yeah, please check us out. MOSSOR Momentsphotography.com. We do a really good job. Not to toot my own horn. So
they do.
All right, and that's going to wrap up Season 3, Episode 1, the 31st episode overall of the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. Honestly, Dave, what a way to come back after a month off. Sitting here tonight, getting to fire off these takes again, getting to break down players we believe in and the players we're fading. It reminded me exactly of why I love doing this show and why I love fantasy football in general. Calling our shots isn't easy. It forces, to be honest, I would say. It forces you to commit and forces you to say out loud what most fantasy managers only think, quietly while scrolling through their draft boards. But that's what makes a night like this so much fun. We looked at the players who can climb, all the way to the top of their position, the guys who have real chance to dominate the 2026 fantasy football season. And we didn't shy away from those names that might let people down, whether, like I said, it's a coaching fit, the workload, or just the reality that not every season headline turns into production. Next week, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week, David. We haven't talked about that yet, but we will be live next week. Tell your friends, Thursday, 7 o'clock, and we will be live. For David Kahoun, follow him at David Kahoun24. I'm Ryan Mossor. You can find me at Dynasty CLE. This has been the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football. We will see you next week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And as always, we'll see you back on the couch next week. David?
Good luck.
Good luck.